Cam. We just wrapped an episode on the fine art of a season finale here, and we went through every single season finale, not series finale, from every single series, and it was actually a fun exercise in determining what makes for a good season finale. What are some of the top three? Let's talk about our top three season finales in our own respective estimations, and they can't all be the animated series.
Or Learning Curve. Yeah, Best of Both Worlds is the one I think we have to start with. I think everyone at home, that's the one that immediately comes to their mind. And I think its longevity has less to do with the Borg element than what a fantastic Riker character story this is. I don't think you care as much, because once you have the shock removed of fire, and you get the resolution at the start of Season 4, if you don't have that Riker story to really latch onto with that premiere, I don't think it has the longevity it has now.
No, I mean, there's only so many exploding consoles you can do for a big explosive premiere, but I think what we're always going to be left on the edge of our seats about all summer long is what the fallout for our characters are going to be based on the decisions that they make, because that has more of a character element to it, more than the story element. And for me, I personally, I'm drawn to the characters of Star Trek more than anything else. You'll get some awesome high-concept episodes, but you can always sell me on a great character-based finale. One of the other elements that we always like in a finale is that there's a bit of a culmination and build-up from what had preceded that, in the lead-up here.
Yeah.
A Call to Arms from Deep Space Nine, that is how you do a finale. You build up all season long, and you pay it off, and it's all built around those character moments. And we have character beat after character beat from everybody after they're all splintered off here. And does anything really beat Gul Dukat walking into Sisko's office and finding the baseball on the table?
The only thing that does is Sisko sitting on the Defiant like a badass.
Yeah.
That is just one of the all-time. That might be my personal favorite of all time.
So,
you got to give, Best of Both Worlds the big gold cup that everyone expects, but Call to Arms is incredible.
Yeah, and Kira was also just on fire there when she's greeting Gul Dukat. She is doing a bit of this self-destruct sort of mode on those consoles, leaving it like wreckage there. So I love every element of this. This might be my number one finale. Cam, what's maybe next up on your list here?
I think you have to give a lot of points to Scorpion. Voyager, Learning Curve was a disaster, but when you see Basics, that's a strong one, but then you fold into Scorpion, which feels like a super confident episode doing this high-concept sci-fi story, bringing the Borg back, which could have really been them shooting themselves in the foot with a phaser, because, you have the Best of Both Worlds, which has set the bar so high for, season finales involving the Borg. And even Descent couldn't deliver as well. And yet, I think Voyager did a really fantastic job, which is saying something given how bumpy Season 3 is. Like, great stuff in there, but it's a lot of bumpy episodes. And the fact that they pulled it out for a finale that not only is exciting, you have Chakotay at maybe his best ever in that episode. He's really great. Robert Beltran kills it. But, you have this teasing of what the Borg is going to do. You don't know at that point that a character is going to be introduced at the start of the next season that is going to change the show for the better. And you don't even need that in Scorpion Part 1 to be great.
No, I was on the edge of my seat all summer long. The other one that had me really intrigued from where the series is going to go next is The Expanse from Star Trek Enterprise. Mm-hmm. You have the build-up with all the Xindi stuff throughout that episode. And it's also interesting taking the temperature of the American psyche at the time, where you have the very, very direct allusions to 9/11 going forward, and this man-on-a-mission element. And I think that's what Enterprise needed most at that time, is give it some sort of mission as opposed to just wandering off in space on these rando adventures. I think this is great, and I think it really does pay off, but we didn't know it at the time.
Yeah.
And that is great that I'm intrigued, and when I come back around for the next season, everything is building up to what I wanted it to, though.
Yeah, and that shot of the Enterprise, the NX-01, flying into the Expanse is incredible, because you don't know what could be on the other side. It reminds me a lot, really, of the Discovery finale from, Such Sweet Sorrow Part 2.
Yeah.
Which I thought was similarly fantastic, and it's paving the way for the unknown, but this is one hell of a finale. Like, you can nitpick some certain story elements, but the sustained action sequence that is that finale is unlike anything we've ever seen in a finale, mostly because they could never afford it before. But it is incredible stuff. It's like the Marvel Universe equivalent of a Star Trek season finale, where all the characters you saw throughout that season are popping up. They all have their, at least the small characters even have their own little action beats. Everyone's contributing, and you walk out just like breathless, like, what even when we watched it, we were like, what just happened? Like, none of us were prepared for that.
Yeah. This last one here on my list, though, it's not the best cliffhanger, but I think it's a fantastic showcase for Star Trek Voyager with Equinox.
Yeah.
It's almost a what-if sort of scenario. Like, what would have happened to the Voyager crew had they wound up in, like, the worst circumstances possible and pushed to the brink and pushed beyond those Starfleet principles and values that we as the audience hold dearly, but we can kind of understand why these characters on the Equinox crew are facing those problems.
They would have had a lot less time to run laps with Tuvok.